Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's show. You're here on Higher Strangeness in the Liminal Abyss, and I am your show host, SHETAN NOIR. Now, as many of you in the North American area are aware, we are getting ready for that eclipse coming in on Monday. That is, if we can see it at all, because from the weather forecast I'm seeing, you're either going or blizzards or thunderstorms or a mix all between, maybe with sunshine. Should be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not getting my hopes up here for in Michigan. At best, we are going to get maybe a partial viewing of it, but it's if it's overcast and cloudy, probably not going to be able to see it at all. So that's what I got going for me here in Michigan. Sometimes it's a bonus, sometimes it's a loss. Um, but I've been watching the reports of people seem to be getting like in a panic. Like we're talking like hoarding the toilet paper and canned food, supplies panic because everybody thinks that supplies are going to run out in the areas where supposedly you can see the total eclipse best. And all these towns, all these communities, there's even judges down in Texas who are declaring natural emergencies for their county in anticipation of the eclipse because they think that people are going to overwhelm their small towns or their communities and but that's not necessarily a no more so than like a festival or parade or a celebration that might draw tourists or visitors into your town. So I don't quite understand the claim that or the eclipse. And like I said, with the weather, it's unpredictable. This past uh, the first week of April, and there were 30s of snow in Michigan time frame, like Thursday night to Friday morning. And that's a lot of snow, 30 inches. Like, get out a yardstick, take off 6 inches, and that's how much snow they are predicting in the UP. And of course, they have Lake Superior added onto that, so that's just adds to it. Here in Michigan, we get a lot of the lake effect, which is just the winds blowing across the lake causes the temperatures to drop and produces more snow than I think other parts of the country get. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see on Monday um, if people are excited about the eclipse or if it's just a fail this year. I think if it had happened in the summertime, it probably would have been like more of an event. But I think with all the weird stuff with the other people are just like, oh, solar eclipse, an eclipse, an apocalypse, alien invasion. What's in store this week? So who knows? Um, so that's my thoughts on the subject of the eclipse of 2024. But another subject that I wanted to talk about is one that I think that there is a lot of misplaced responsibility and ethics in. Now, about a month ago, it was discovered that there are two species of green anaconda. There is the northern species of green anaconda and a southern species of the green anaconda, with the northern species being considered a brand new species, which gave the enthusiasts in the reptile world, herpetology, and biologists a lot to celebrate, um, because it's one thing for scientists to discover and document that there is a new microorganism, that they have just discovered, but the specimen that they found near the Formosa River was 26 feet long and over 400 pounds. Now, they had just documented this species, and the biggest one that they named, and there is celebration because this is a huge female that probably could have added more offspring to her environment. And snakes, just like sharks, um, just like any natural predator, they help the environment. And they do this by killing, eating, consuming the sick, the injured, the old animals that are thriving or not even thriving, but just existing in the environment and taking up essential resources that other animals, plants, reptiles, insects, birds could use to sustain. So a report came out this week saying that this same snake, Anna Julia, 25 feet over 400 pounds, was found dead from apparent gunshot wounds, which means somebody deliberately went to her location where the scientists found her and killed her. Now, seeing as this species had never been documented before, never been um, scientifically evaluated before, it meant that her location was told to not only the surrounding communities around there, because they did have porters and tribesmen from that area who helped guide them around. Now, unfortunately, what will happen is there is a lot of beliefs that snakes are either gods or they're either evil. A lot of folklore, a lot of myths, and my take on it is that someone decided that instead of letting her exist in her environment, they just decided that they were going to let fear guide them and they went and killed her. Now, I think that, and this is probably not going to change how scientists um, explore their process. But I think there has to be a movement going forward that if you're going out searching for new species, new animals, there has to be safeguards put in place that whoever's helping guide you, whoever is going along on this expedition, does not be to the local populations of the existence of these creatures, because once people see either an animal as it being make a profit off of, or they see something as a threat, no matter how minimal it is to them, they will seek that animal out and they will either kill it or they will collect it and try to sell it into the pet trade, which means inevitably the animals will be shuffled around, probably killed in the process, transported, and instead of being in their natural environment and their natural placement in the world, we as humans disrupt that. And so I think there needs to be a movement going forward that when new species are discovered, it is not revealed to the whole wide world until there are safeguards in place to protect that species. Um, because it's just become so rampant and apparent that you cannot trust humans to leave things be and not destroy. And taking any species out of its natural habitat causes a adverse effect to that ecosystem and that habitat. When you take out a predator or a prey item from its natural living environment, there's nothing really to fill that gap. And so you see a decimation of either the predator population because all of its prey are gone, or you see an overwhelming population of the prey because the predator's gone. Infestation, like in Australia, um, they were having a huge issue with the rat populations. And why is that? Because they didn't have enough snakes and there's at time to eat all those. Why? Because humans came through and they killed as many of the snakes as they could find because the snakes were deadly and saw them as a threat. When really the snakes are just doing what snakes do. They eat, sleep, drink, sunbask, and make little more little, like the famous Jaws saying goes, all this creature does is eat, sleep, and make baby sharks. That's true of any species on the planet. Humans, mammals, birds, fish, insects, reptiles. That's what we all do, but they have to be allowed to do it in their ecosystem and without harassment from the very people who discover it and then don't protect it. It's great and wonderful that scientists, biologists find these new species. It's thrilling. But then there's also has to be a acceptance that once you find and reveal that this species exists, there has to be a knowledge base that says, okay, now that we've revealed this to the world, how do we safeguard this species so that it doesn't become under threat from humans? I don't know, those are just my feelings. Um, and it would be interesting to see what other people think about that. Is there a call for more responsible actions and behaviors of biologists and scientists to not go shooting off their mouths once they find a new species, and wait until they have worked with whatever country that species exists in to put in legislation, to put in safeguards that this species is protected. It's something for all of us to think about if we want to preserve this planet and all the species on it. But those are my thoughts. And until next week, go out there and explore this world and stay curious out there.